Good morning. Good morning, good morning. Good morning. Hello, hello. How are we all? And then I'll tell you how we are. You can probably hear I'm a bit wheezy still. I think I'm coming through the other end, though I have to confess I'm having lurches back where, you know, you do something really innocuous like go up a flight of go up a flight of stairs and find yourself really breathless. Morning everyone, we've missed you. Obviously the big news in the house is that Nadia has tested positive. Yeah, Nads. Dear old Nads with a vitamin D. She tested positive yesterday. And I see a number of you are saying that you've had symptoms for ages and keep testing negative. That was the case for me. And then just suddenly it tested positive. So Nadia's going to be okay, but she's not great. She's coughing, she's breathless. She describes, interestingly, what a friend of hers said is it's like you're possessed, and I know what she means. Some of the symptoms one of the worst symptoms I had, I don't know if anyone else had this, was a sort of achy restlessness in all of your body, meaning that I could only sleep in snatches of 5 to 10 minutes. And I heard Nadia was sleeping in separate rooms, and I heard Nadia coughing throughout the night. She was testing negative. She tested negative before she went to Brighton, and then yesterday she tested positive. So it's just, you know, I think there must just come a point where your body allows it to be seen. So yeah, really, really weird. That's how I was with all the vaccines, Emma McDonald. Yeah, it was weird. It's weird. And then the old ache behind it's all the classics. The ache behind the eyes, the headache just here, like some motherfucker is going tightening. Hot and cold. I want Creatorholic. I wonder if it's the new Omicron, the sibling of Omicron pit. Yeah, I wonder that. I mean, I had a cough, and obviously when you're asthmatic, you worry about the cough, don't you? Emma, we were talking about that. And but you can sort of feel, like Nadia said, although she's got a cough, you can feel it's much more in the upper chest. But that said, I just literally went upstairs a couple of times and exhausted. Yeah, exhausted, Stuart G. So I think I'm definitely feeling better, and I suppose the feeling better thing is the caveat is that you have moments of feeling awful. So I'm testing myself again. I have been positive. I'm testing myself again after this, yeah. So because the rules are weird, aren't they? You test positive for 5 days. If you test positive for 5 days, then you have to stay in your house for 10 days. And then if you're still positive, is it after 10 days? I don't know, do you go out? Because I mean, presumably you could test positive for the next year. Yeah, we had all our boosters, so it just shows you, it gets you, it can get you. I mean, I suppose we would be that much worse if we didn't. But I'm sure you'll be seeing Nads in good time. She's tucked up in bed. She's very chilly and then very hot, wanting the window open, then wanting the window closed, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, we're all vaccinated, all boosted up, everything. It's a bugger, isn't it? Hydrating, though I have to confess for this, I'm having a coffee so that I can just perk myself up. How are you being? Has anyone else here got it? Sarah Palmater, you don't test till day 5, otherwise you'll drive yourself mad. Absolutely. So Friday, that's why I'm testing. Yeah, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Yeah, that's why I'm testing later today. So fingers crossed. Reese, fever pitch. Absolutely. It is good to see you, Nora Doyle. It's good to see you too. Hi, Justine Fitzgerald. Obviously, it's meant also we had a pile of cards to go out. We had all sorts of things ready to go. We had an old vlog. If you haven't seen, well, not old, but it was edited before we all got hammered. So we thought we'd just pop that up yesterday, which was nice. Obviously the Sunday show didn't go out, but we've got stuff in the can now for the Sunday show. Julie Allen, granddaughter just tested positive. Georgina Spencer, it got me, I've got it now. My son had it, then I caught it, and now my daughter has it for the second time. So if you get it a second time, presumably you have to go through the 5-day thing again. It's weird, isn't it, how if you're positive after 10 days, you don't have to stay, you don't have to do anything. Nanny Di is absolutely fine. Yeah, no, she's good. We were all negative when she was here. But that doesn't, I mean, you know, what does it mean? What does it mean? But no, she's fine. We've been checking on her. She's absolutely fine. Is it as bad the second time, Stuart G? Good question. Funky Kids, I asked the question on my Instagram account, has anyone managed to dodge the bullet? Say yes if you've managed to avoid all variants so far. I'd like to know. We were sort of feeling not smug in a kind of, you know, smug way, but we were just kind of like, oh, thank God we haven't. Oh, wow, quite a few of you, look. Oh, wow, quite a few of you, yes. Haven't had it at all. Jacqueline Clements, Karen Volk, Margaret O'Brien, Fiona Grocott, Reese. Wowie, wowie, the vast majority of you. Sarah Perlmutter, most of my family have had it though. Yes, from Sydney, Australia. Wow, my God, no, Paul's, my God. Funky Kids, yes, even with kids at school. I mean, fortunately, I haven't lost my taste. Nadia at one point yesterday said, oh, I didn't taste that. Now, for a foodie and a cook, I didn't want to say anything, but that could prove disastrous, couldn't it? Well, see, just then you get a little bit of a dizzy when you move your eyes a bit fast. Whee! Louise Gervin, I'm a teacher and I'm surprised I haven't had it at all. That is odd. Yeah. Sharona, that was before being tested. What you've got to understand is sometimes, Sharona, we upload stuff that's been shot days before. So you don't need to home in on that. Jacqueline Clements, my husband works in care home. They all had it. He never has. Yeah, I mean, we began to think that there are certain people who don't get it. But this is nonsense. This is absolutely nonsense. Lior, you've never had it. Who's not had it and you're just going out and doing normal stuff and kind of, you know, you're not through medical reasons or whatever having to isolate or what have you? Hi Mark, thank you very much. But thank you so much for all your messages, certainly on Instagram. Kirsty Baker, I'm a caregiver but I've not had it. Funky Kids, Nicola Higgins, yeah, wow. Been invited for 4th jab, Jane Derbyshire. Well, we're kind of presuming we'll be invited for our 4th jab soon enough. Anita O'Reilly, Jackie Villian, oh wow. Leanne, well, Nadia said, well, we should update you guys. So I was like, yeah, let's do it. You know, we miss you as much as I hope you miss us. Claire Nicholson, I have no clue about the science, but think having COVID the second time has stopped my cough. I have no clue why or how. I suppose one of the benefits is that you end up being quite, you know, hopefully, you know, we'll have antibodies that go through the roof, what with vaccines, boosters, and getting it. Laura Francis, hope you're well. I've never had it and live in London. It's a miracle. It is quite a miracle, isn't it? So there we go. That's where we are. Nads is in bed. Having tested positive yesterday. I'm not in bed because I'm going spare, but I probably will go back to bed at some point because it's exhausting. And I'll be testing later to make sure and hope that I'm negative, even though I don't feel like I'm negative. Love your glasses. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yeah, I had to replace them. Oh look, I've got a pair on my head as well, using them as a Alice band. Lisa's fine. Kaz is fine. So read into that what you will. Millie Parfit, I have it now, tested positive on Sunday, feel rough as hell, no cough, thumping head, achy all over, knackered and bunged up. I'm bunged up terribly as well. Hubby and kids all still negative, absolutely. I mean, obviously one's holding everyone at arm's length in the house. Betty and Teddy haven't seen us, so that's good, they're okay. So yeah, Bridget Radford, yes, avoided COVID. So a couple of news stories that I thought might be fun just to talk about. Well, fun, but also bloody frustrating. Did anyone see the footage of Keir Starmer being ambushed by anti-vaxxers who were using the Jimmy Savile story, sort of slightly aggravated and inflamed by Boris Johnson, as a means of essentially verbally assaulting, but almost physically assaulting Keir Starmer? I thought Starmer was incredibly sort of proper and decent and incredibly sort of generous in the way in which he said he got there fine, he got into Parliament fine, he then went to play five-a-side football, no need to worry, and all that kind of stuff. But it did bring back memories, didn't it, of the various politicians who've been berated and chanted at. And I think it was important. Someone said on the news last night that even little Lord Fauntleroy, Rees-Mogg, you know, when he was harassed, regardless of political opinion or persuasion, this is a bad thing. But the big question with this is, I was getting slightly Trump flashbacks with this. Around the storming of the Capitol Hill, in that language does inspire action. Funky Kids was a bit like Trump supporters last year, and I think that a minister came out today saying, you know, Boris Johnson's Savile remarks are not to blame. Okay, call me a bit simplistic, but Boris Johnson accuses Keir Starmer of allowing Savile to go, so he's a paedophile supporter. Mob in street screamed Savile, apropos of they wouldn't have screamed Savile if Boris hadn't talked about Savile. So how can you not draw a connection? Especially given that the story about Jimmy Savile came from far-right memes and accounts. I don't understand how you can't draw a connection. So once again, the government have got ministers trotting out, doing Boris's dirty work, basically, what's it called when they, God, see, my brain is a jumble. What's it called? They're gaslighting us again. Gaslighting us. Thank you, Ashley. Thank you. I'm feeling better. Not great, but feeling better. Sounds odd, perhaps. I'm wondering if it was staged. Audrey Sargent. My God, I hadn't even considered that. When you look at the footage, I don't think it was. There's a moment where the police literally throw two people onto the floor. I think they must have been very worried. But I just, you know, obviously Boris didn't say. I mean, this is the danger. This is the danger with this. Boris didn't say it to incite violence. That's true. I mean, I don't think he stood there thinking, I want this to mean. But you've got to take some responsibility for inadvertently something you say having an impact. For example, I said to Nads last night, I said, no one will be able to quantify how much Islamophobic aggression, violence, or racism occurred in the aftermath of Boris saying the thing about, you know, women wearing the burqa looking like pillar boxes. No one even chose to look into it. No one even chose to ask the question. But it adds to a fabric of prejudice, doesn't it? And in this case, to say that there's no connection, Jane Derbyshire, I'm sure the story's been rolling around for a while, but in saying it, there is a direct connection between suddenly a baying crowd at Parliament. There has to be. And so my thought on this is there's more reason for Johnson to apologise. Who thinks along those lines? Who thinks that's kind of the case, or who disagrees? Who thinks it was, I mean, someone said it was staged. Who think it was staged? Who thinks, you know, it's the cut and thrust of politics? I can definitely taste, which is good. Rees, clearly weaponised against Keir to smear him, make him less formidable after he dressed them down so impactful in Parliament. Boris likes to adhere to free speech, but it costs, to which he ignores. And Henderson. Boris Johnson should apologise to the many victims of Jimmy Savile for prolonging the trauma they live with. Johnson did incite the disgusting far-right with his Trumpian lies. This is QAnon. Yeah, how do you pronounce that? I never know how to pronounce that. QAnon. Yeah, after the murder of David Amis, says it's only me. Angela Rayner was impelled to apologise for calling Tories scum. even though it had no relevance to the case, and she did apologise. Yeah, I mean, an equivalence has been drawn between that, and even Ian Dale on LBC last night, who's, you know, a Tory advocate, he's a Tory, said that there was a distinction there and that she came out and she apologised for that. And I think an apology would go down well, not an apology that then subsequently followed by how brilliant he is, which was the apology about Partygate. But have you noticed how all of this, you could argue that the dead cat of Savile has distracted everything. When is the full report from Sue Gray landing? When are the police going to finish their report? There's mutterings, though I have to stress it's only mutterings, that more than alcohol was being consumed at some of the parties. Now, if that has any, if that can be substantiated, and maybe it will be by the police investigation, but when? Where's the timeline on these things? Why have journalists forgotten to chase it? So there you go. Audrey Sargent Starmer is a Blair puppet. Well, he may well be a Blair puppet, but without a Blair-type puppet, I don't think there's any chance of Labour getting in, unfortunately. Unfortunately, I think due to the population in this country, you can't have an extremely left-wing party, however much people would like it. You have to have a party, a left-wing party, that nibbles at centrist kind of politics. That's the only way you're going to get them in. So to that extent, lots of problems with Tony Blair, lots of them principally around the Iraq War. But I hate to say it, I think those are the kind of compromise. I heard someone on the radio the other day saying, why don't the Liberal Dems, Labour, Greens, all of them, work together in a strategic fashion at the next election and create a coalition government? I think it might make sense, I don't know. Tracy Lynham, everything is Carrie Johnson's fault, apparently, for making Boris a sleep-deprived modern parent, therefore blurring his judgment. Couldn't make it up, could you? Classic, blame the woman. Absolute classic, isn't it? He's not in control of his own destiny or his own choices. Blame the partner. Terrible. Elaine Denning, that's an effing brilliant idea. Well, and I think the Labour Party need to get out of this two-party politics, because they may never get in. They may, it's just come up. Bamber Gascoigne has died, the former presenter of University Challenge, which I have to confess I watched last night thinking, see how many questions I can answer. I didn't even understand 80% of the questions, but I did get one right. I think if you get one right in University Challenge, you're like, yeah. I think it's terrible that Carrie Johnson is being, and that's not to say Carrie Johnson hasn't had some influence, of course. But to hold her responsible solely is terrible. Yeah, Bamber Gascoigne, very sad. Real character, wasn't he? A sort of acceptable face of academia. Oh look, just got a little text from Fleur there. Bless her. Did you watch the vlog? It was a nice vlog, wasn't it? Christmas with Lisa. That was fun. Nora Doyle, look at Ireland. Our coalition government at the moment, we are left and right, but now the left, I've done exactly what you say, Mark, and compromised over the years. I think you have to compromise. Otherwise you're never going to, and it's not just about getting the Tories out. I think the best situation would be to have a government that has representation of conservatism as well. I mean, obviously, proportional representation. Everyone yawns when people say it. Everyone goes, Liberal Party. But otherwise, we're just going to be in this constant conservative government situation. I mean, really. Ellen, the bunny mask was horrid. Thank you, Anita O'Reilly. That's fine. Haven't been able to watch this week's Euphoria, though I hear it's an absolute corker. Is that right? We're going to review 3 and 4 when we're feeling better. I am later today because I'm going stir crazy. Going to watch the Oscar nominations are being read. I think at 1 o'clock our time. So I'm going to be checking that out and potentially filming a reaction to that. So any movie fans, you could join in on that. So yeah, so Boris Johnson, poor old Keir Starmer, not pleasant. Another story around Boris was that, all of his kind of chief of staff and private secretaries, all of them have no, I haven't watched Chloe, though I hear it's good. We might watch that later. What do you make of Boris Johnson singing I Will Survive to the new number 10 press chief? You couldn't make this shit up. And apparently ABBA have actively distanced themselves from there having been an ABBA-themed party. Can you imagine that? Everyone's so embarrassed by what we've got up to that the bands are distancing themselves. I mean, this happened again in America, where bands, I think the Rolling Stones, distanced themselves from a certain rally that Trump that attended. Yeah, and so now we've got Boris Johnson singing "I Will Survive." And when I heard this story, I thought to myself, imagine witnessing that. I wonder if he did that. I will survive. Hey, hey. I mean, talk about unplugged in to the sensibility of what's been going on. I was staggered. But then, this is great. Jude, exactly where I'm going. His press chief then went, speaking to a journalist somewhere, went on the record as saying, but don't worry, Boris isn't a complete clown. That's kind of a weird, backhanded, non-compliment, isn't it? He's not a complete clown, suggesting he's a bit of a clown. So our Prime Minister is a bit of a clown. Oh, fascinated to know how the phone call with Putin went. Did anyone else see, yesterday on the news, the incredibly long table that Macron, the French president, and Putin sat at? And I might have imagined this, but just as they cut out from the shot, they sat down at the table. Watch Putin's feet. There was a moment where there was a sort of boyish foot charm to him as he bounced his feet around, sat down. The table was so long as Macron went in to try and kind of, you know, win over Putin's heart and all that kind of... It was so long, wasn't it, Creator? I've never seen a table so long. I mean, if you had to sit at a table that said, fuck you, get out, that was it. But by all accounts, just before they cut away from the shot, it must have been a sort of PA wire sanctioned shot that everyone got. I swear that Putin went to pick up a phone to talk to him. Now, I'm sure that was translation and all that kind of stuff. But it looked like because he was so far away, he had to pick up a phone. I think he was trying to make Macron look like a tiny, insignificant person. Even Macron, as he sat down, was kind of like, where's the knife and fork? Natasha Milchan, that was some heck of a social distancing situation. But did you notice they didn't need social distancing when Putin visited China? No, I don't think they did. We are the laughing stock of the world. Yeah, so maybe the French will have more success. He's only half a clown. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Half a clown. So I will survive. I wonder what other songs Boris sings. Apparently he said as well, you'd have to bring in a tank division to get rid of me. It's a bit depressing, isn't it? Final story, which I thought was fun, is the Duchess of Cambridge is to read CBeebies bedtime story for Children's Mental Health Week. We would have undoubtedly done a Confessions of a Modern Parent about this. I think it's lovely that she's doing it. She's... a lovely Kate Middleton. She's narrating the owl who was afraid of the dark, which is, if you think about it, the owl who was afraid of the dark is about a shy, perhaps a little bit anxious little owl. It was one of our girls' favourites. And I wanted to ask you, what was one of your favourite stories to either read to your kids or have read to you? What was the one with is it the tiger that came to tea? Ellen, I have tractors instead of tanks. Will they do? Very good thought. Very good thought. It's just like the scene from 50 Shades of Grey with Anna and Christian going over terms. Wish my teens were little again. I so miss Wind in the Willows, Sonia Donald. Let's have a read. I so miss reading stories to my kids. I love The Jolly Postman, Ashley Rose. Angry Arthur, Claire H. Stuart G, you can remember reading that as a kid. Let's have a look. What else? The Jolly Postman, The Very Hungry Caterpillar, Reem A.W. When I was a kid, I remember thinking that the caterpillar had literally chewed that hole through the cardboard book. Tracy Lynham, even now my kids loved my grandchildren, and my grandchildren loved The Gruffalo. There's a nice one to read, wasn't it? Gruffalo, Stockman, yeah. Mog! Was it Mystic Mog? And a cat? Helen Groves, Chicken Licking. That was one of my absolute favourite barnstormers. I wouldn't say it was barnstorm. Does anyone else remember? We covered it on the Weekly Rushes. Going on a bear hunt, Claire Age. We're going, you can't go over it, you can't go under it, you got to go through it. Does anyone remember the book where there's the boy, or the baby, that draws the world that he's going through on the wall with a crayon? Dale Ibbotson. Hi, Dale. The original Mr. Men books. I loved them. Mr. Strong by Roger Hargreaves. Does anyone else remember Where the Wild Things Are? And there was another book, In the Midnight Kitchen, was it? Which really, really freaked me out. Burglar Bill. Do you remember that? And it had two cooks that looked like Laurel and Hardy making dough. I used to have nightmares about dough, genuinely, and a huge knitting needle at piercing them. Harry McClary, Catherine Hamilton. Fleur used to love that. Fungus the Bogeyman, Audrey Sargent. That would have been good for the vlog, wouldn't it? Hegarty Haggerty. The Day the Sky Fell In. What else? Mr. Men books are great. Mr. Tickle was always a good one, wasn't it? Mr. Tickle. Who remembers the little Ladybird books? And there was another one, all the Enid Blyton books, Elaine Denning, like Nads. The Little Red Fox, I do remember that, Nora Doyle. But do you remember the what are they called? What did I just call them? Oh God, I've just completely forgotten what I call them. I remember Rumpelstiltskin. Petrified me. Oh, the Mousel Cat, Rebecca Bruce. Rupert the Bear. Ladybird books, thank you, Fiona. Completely forgot them. Rumpelstiltskin, and there was a photograph of him hammering his foot angrily on the floor, and it went through the floor, and his little face petrified me. Reem A.W., Harold and the Purple Crayon. That's it. I don't remember The Large Family, The Elephants. Oh, maybe I do, Amelia Nicholson. Percy the Park Keeper, Dawn Claricodes. Yes. Oh, my God. See, well, there you go. Kate Middleton's reading The Owl Who Whatever Did Whatever. James and the Giant Peach. Yeah, Roald Dahl was a little bit older, wasn't it? They were great. Billy Goat's Gruff. That was a good one. Yeah, the Ladybird Book of Billy Goats, that was a good one. Bit chilling and a bit worrying, wasn't it? Elmo, Topsy and Tim, Pink Lady. Baba, Julianne Jackson. Charlotte's Web, Shelley Soul. Charlotte's Web was well, it wasn't the first grown-up book that I read. The book version of the film Bambi was the first book I read. I remember it vividly. And then Charlotte's Web was the first book where I was like, oh, so in it. And then I bought it for the girls thinking, yeah, we're going to read this. And they didn't like it at all. The bit at the end, spoiler here, the bit at the end where all the baby spiders come. Oh, Winnie the Pooh. The girls loved Winnie the Pooh. The Clock Tower Ghost, Whatever Next, Faraway Tree, Alice Cooper. Bell X1. Did you watch Pam and Tommy? This is going completely off children's books. I watched episode 1. Nadia didn't like it. I liked it slightly more, but I had problems with it. Oh look, Sophie Jane Matilda. I haven't slept yet. I'm researching how to set up a hopefully successful book review channel on YouTube. English lit, no prob. Tech and algorithms, big prob. It's hard because a lot of people don't read. That's one of the problems. Paddington Bear never really floated my boat, but Julian Jackson, I do remember him. Well, look, there you go, guys. I'll send all of your well wishes to Nadia. You can tell my brain is a little bit of a jumble. As I say, I'm going to be reacting to the Oscars later at 1 o'clock and popping that up. Nads sends all her love. I'm sure you'll hear from her or see something from her at some point. She's tucked up upstairs. I'm going to go and make her a cup of tea. I'm going to go and do another test. Mark, will you react to Killing Eve season 4 trailer Simona? Didn't even know it had landed. Did it land in the last 24 hours? I suppose the reason we sort of hesitate is that people get a little bit cross when we react, not having seen season 3. We kind of fell away in season 2 because we felt that the heat had gone when they kind of became almost best buddies. But for sure, we'll check it out. Very excited about Peaky Blinders. So, guys, lovely to spend half an hour with you again. Thank you, Simona. Released last week. Stay safe. Big hugs. And we'll see you, hopefully, if I'm feeling even better, we'll see you on the morrow. But yeah, have a lovely day, guys. Bye.